Jose Esqueda, and my presentation on a contemporary artist will be on Mr. Walter Price. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start off with my artist, which is again Mr. Walter Price. He was born in 1989 in Macon, Georgia. Currently, he lives in New York, where he produces his art as well as he has his own studio. Walter Price received his art education in the Middle Georgia College, where he received his associates in arts, and then he proceeded to move to the Art Institute of Washington, where he received his bachelor's. Some work ethics of Walter Price that really caught my attention and added to my selection of him was that, so every morning he'll wake up around 4:40 a.m. so he can start off his day early, and he'll do activities such as basketball or weightlifting to get his alpha brainwaves going, as he says that they are at their peak at that time, and that really helps him get his creative vibe going, and he incorporates it into his works, and that really helps him. Another thing to mention is that while I was selecting this artist, one piece of work that he had done already was this painting called Power of Pride No. 2. And the reason why I thought it was so unique was that it was a mixed media painting, and it incorporated a piece of a real life photo inside of the painting, and I think that was really interesting. And a lot of his art was despite it not always being like a mixed media effect, it still captured my attention. The way it was abstract, the abstraction of his paintings was another thing that really caught my eye, and the abstract presence in his paintings really led me to make the decision to use Walter Price as my contemporary artist of choice. Also, he does work with sketch pads and things like that, but he prefers to perform his art on a canvas with paintings. And now, the artwork. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be covering 3 of Walter Price's artworks, and I'm going to be analyzing them. Not only am I just going to be analyzing them as in, what's in the picture or things like that, I'm also going to be trying to find the message behind them. Alright, so the paintings that I'm going to be examining are from Walter Price's recent exhibition, Pearl Lines. And the 3 paintings that I'm going to be examining are titled The World Scare, Hyperthermic Conditioning, Mind of Mind 1, and Mind of Mind 2. Now the reason that I say 3 and I just said 4 is because I consider the Mind of Mind paintings to be one, as if it's, because they go together, so I just think they should be considered as one. Okay, so my first impression of The World Scare is a very naturalistic effect, as it includes what seems to be like an island as well as the ocean waves. Additionally, there is a lot of contrast featured within the painting as well, as there is a mix of dark and light colors. Based on the color scheme and contrasting colors, I think one message that Walter Price was trying to produce was that in nature it's not always really calm and tranquil as we perceive it to be. Sometimes I guess what he's really trying to tell us is that we should take time to appreciate nature and really not only see the good of it, but also know what's going on in terms of I guess the problems in nature. Another thing that I would like to add about The World Scare is its brushwork. There seems to be different types of brushstrokes within the piece, as in in the waves it's smooth, as well as in the top portion of the sky of the painting it's pretty smooth, but then there's some parts of the piece that are more rough. And I think that's what how I mentioned before, those are the problems within nature, or the small disturbances that occur. Also, I think that again the diverse colors also represent the diversity of nature itself, how there's so many different although it isn't displayed, there's all different sorts of animals, plants, a lot of organisms, that are involved in the diversity. Now I'm going to move on to the next painting, which is hypothermic conditioning. I think out of the three paintings that I chose to analyze for this video, hypothermic conditioning was the one that really struck out to me the most in terms of the colors that were used, as well as the figures that were placed within the painting. As we can see in the picture, on the bottom we have three, I guess, men, because, well, they're wearing hats, and in the center of the picture we have three young women, and I just think it represents, you know, like society, people, just the interaction of people. I think what also is can be interpreted from this painting is like city life, and what I think is that Walter Price was influenced by the city life in New York, that he created a painting that sort of displayed how city life is, in terms of how it seems that the people in the painting are, you know, minding their own business, walking around, and I just think that sort of resorts to the whole concept of city life. Now I'm going to be talking about the overall structure of the painting for hypothermic conditioning. It's not as smooth as the World Scare, but I think it's still a pretty powerful painting, despite it not being smooth or perfect. In fact, I think it even adds to the overall message of the picture, that city life isn't always perfect or smooth. It's rough. Sometimes it can get pretty hectic. Okay, so the paintings that I'm going to be analyzing are Mind of Mine 1 and Mind of Mine 2. And they're both pretty much the same, so the descriptions that I say right now will pretty much they'll be the same for both. So in the paintings, we have these we have shapes that look like the shape of a man's face from the side view, and they're also wearing hats. The distinct thing about these paintings is that the faces are filled in with the shapes of crossword puzzles. They look like a newspaper puzzle. That's what's taken the shape of a man's face. And so yet again, this is another example of mixed media by Walter Price. And another thing to note is that there's a lot of cool colors involved within both of these paintings, as well as dots. There's also the use of dots, and what I think it is, it's another picture about society, but it's also a picture of, I would think, also intellect, just because the crossword puzzles would represent, you know, like the intelligence of a person. An interesting thing that I would like to add is that most of Walter Price's paintings involve people. And so I think in all these paintings that I have just described, other than the first one I did, the World Scare, they were created to involve people. He wanted to include, you know, like society, a community, and basically I think these paintings are his depictions of what society looks to him. Another thing I'd like to add is that in an article on Walter Price on the website pencilinthestudio.com, Walter Price said that his paintings contain little stories and they depict everyday life in an abstract form. And that's what really made Walter Price distinctive to me, that he used abstract to display how he really felt about society, about people, about nature. He decided to put it in an abstract form. And with that, I'm going to wrap up my presentation on my contemporary artist, Walter Price. I think it was a really interesting process, you know, finding out who this man is and the type of art that he is able to produce with his imagination, which I think is extremely beyond the normal mind.